Recently, an AI found a real mathematical weakness in an algorithm designed to protect the internet from quantum computers. Your passwords are fine, your messages are fine. Nothing you use today is broken, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly why that is true. And yet security researchers are telling everyone to watch this closely, because the real story is not the flaw the machine found. The real story is what happened when the humans tried to check its work. Here is what happened. In late July 2026, Anthropic's Frontier Red team published research with a blunt title, Discovering Cryptographic Weaknesses with Claude. The model involved is Claude Mythos Preview, the gated research model we covered in our bug hunting video, and that is all the introduction it needs here, because this is a different kind of claim. Bug hunting finds mistakes in code, and code can be patched. This time, the model attacked the mathematics itself, the designs that are supposed to stay strong even when every line of code implementing them is perfect. Two results lead the announcement. One is a next-generation signature scheme called Hawk. The other is the most famous cipher on the planet. To understand either result, you need the one idea cryptographers use every day. The strength of an algorithm is measured in work. How many operations would an attacker need to recover a secret key? And every extra bit of security doubles that number. 2 to the 128 is not double 2 to the 64. It is billions of times bigger. Which means that in this field, breaking something almost never means reading your messages tomorrow. It means proving that the wall is shorter than advertised. Cryptanalysis is the science of finding shorter ladders, and the entire system depends on friendly researchers finding them before hostile ones do. That race has just gained a new kind of contestant. So, Hawk is a digital signature scheme. It proves who sent a message. It does not encrypt anything. It was one of the candidates in the standards process run by NIST, the American standards body, to prepare for quantum computers, and the only one built on a mathematical object called a lattice. Its selling point was efficiency, small keys, fast signing. Claude found a hidden symmetry in that lattice, a way the structure maps perfectly onto itself that nobody had written down. Knowing the symmetry, an attacker skips half the search. On the small challenge version of the scheme, the expected cost of recovering a key fell from about 2 to the 64 operations to about 2 to the 38. And that attack is not theoretical. It ran. A real key fell out in under 4 hours on a big server. The official versions of Hawk are still far out of reach, but their safety margin was cut in half too, and the honest fix is to double the key size, which quietly deletes the reason Hawk was attractive in the first place. Now, here is the part most headlines skipped. 1 year earlier, two mathematicians, Daniel Van Gent and Ludo Pollels, had proved a conditional result. If a hidden symmetry of the right kind existed in Hawk's lattice, then key recovery would speed up at least quadratically, cutting the security bits in half. They proved the door would open. Whether the key actually existed in Hawk's lattice, they left as an open question. Claude found the key. That is the honest shape of this discovery, and it matters because it is not a machine having an idea no human ever had. It is a machine finishing a search that humans had defined and left open, and the field was not asleep either. In the very same weeks, a human team in London published their own attack on Hawk, and then had to correct their own running time claim. This is what an active research frontier looks like, crowded, messy, and now shared with a machine. How does a language model actually do cryptanalysis? Not by chatting. The researchers put Claude in an agentic harness similar to the coding agents we have covered all season, with many worker agents running in a sandbox. Inside the box, Python, a mathematician's algebra system called Sage, and the published research on the target. Then the loop begins. The model proposes a hypothesis about the scheme's structure. It writes a program that can only succeed if the hypothesis is true. It runs the program, reads the result, and tries again. Most sessions end in nothing. The teams let it run for days anyway, and the bills are real. Roughly $100,000 of compute per result. Here is the detail that should stop you though. On the Hawk project, the human's role was described as project management. The researcher running it was not even a lattice specialist. The mathematics came out of the loop. Then there is the cipher you're using right now, AES, the encryption standard behind most secure traffic on the internet. Researchers pointed Claude at a weakened 7-round version of it. Full AES has 10 rounds, and reduced round versions are the standard crash test dummies of the field, and Claude refused. It declared the task impossible and wrote that on these versions there is nothing easy to find. A human had to talk it into trying. 3 days and 3 substantive prompts later, it had invented a technique it named the Mobius bridge, and used it to make the best known attack on 7 rounds hundreds of times faster. Before you close this tab, that attack needs an absurd mountain of chosen data, around 2 to the 105 encryptions, would cost hundreds of millions of dollars, and does not touch the full cipher. Anthropic's own words, no production software will have to change. The interesting part was never your hard drive. It is that the machine argued the discovery was impossible right up until it made it. And that brings us to the twist at the center of this story. The Hawk attack was easy to believe, because it runs. You execute the program, a secret key falls out, argument over. The AES attack is theoretical. No program can run 2 to the 105 encryptions, so 2 researchers spent close to a month working through the mathematics before they trusted it. The model found the idea in about a week. Checking it took most of a month. And Anthropic admits, this is now the shape of the whole project. The vast majority of their time, over months, has gone into verifying the correctness of Claude's results. Sit with that. In mathematics, for as long as anyone can remember, finding the idea was the expensive part, and checking the proof was the cheap part, inside this one narrow field that just flipped. Discovery has outrun verification, and the humans have moved from the driver's seat to the inspection booth. Which raises the obvious question, how good are these models at this really? One anecdote is not a measurement, so alongside the attacks, a team of industry and university researchers released a benchmark. They called it Cryptanalysis Bench. It holds 191 attack tasks, drawn from real algorithms, mostly from past standards competitions. The design is worth 30 seconds of your attention. The model gets the source code of the cipher and a locked black box that holds the secret. To score, it must write an attack program, and that program is replayed against fresh secrets under strict budgets, so a lucky guess or a hard-coded answer cannot pass. The one thing this cannot fully rule out is a model reciting an attack it already learned, which is exactly why the schemes nobody has broken yet are the real test. The released frontier models they tested break most of the schemes that humans have already broken. But on unbroken schemes at full strength, the best model succeeds less than 1 time in 10, and often by exploiting a bug in the reference code rather than the mathematics. Weaken the schemes step by step though, and the scores climb fast. That staircase is the real finding. We can now watch exactly where on the difficulty ramp these models stand, and the benchmark even caught 2 genuinely new results, a full break of 1 lightweight cipher found independently by 2 different models, and a flaw in a scheme whose published security proof said that attack could not exist. So let us kill the bad headlines properly. AI did not break encryption. Nothing you use was touched, and the strongest models in the benchmark could not even approach the hardest open problems, including the attacks human experts already published. Hawk was a candidate in an evaluation process, not a deployed system, and the entire point of a candidate round is to invite exactly this kind of attack. And it worked. Once the attack was public, Hawk's own authors withdrew it from the competition, years before anyone could have depended on it. That is the process working, not failing. The scary-sounding numbers all live on weakened versions or challenge parameters, and every attack in this story still takes exponential time. As for checking the work, outside cryptographers have now confirmed the Hawk result, but nobody independent has yet reproduced the harder AES attack. And the model that found these results is one nobody outside a small partner program can run. Healthy skepticism is allowed. Bruce Schneier, the most quoted security expert alive, put it in one line, still early results, but this is definitely something to watch. Here is the takeaway worth keeping. The story is not that a machine broke cryptography. It did not. The story is that mathematical discovery just became something you can buy by the token, and that the price of finding ideas is now falling faster than the price of checking them. The benchmark authors are honest about why they built a tracker, to see if or when AI cryptanalysis becomes a serious factor. And Anthropic raises the real question in its own report. It would be prudent, they write, to consider how researchers should react the day a model finds a flaw in something the world actually runs on. They end on a hopeful note that in the long run, these models could lead to stronger review and more secure algorithms, not weaker ones. But the question is the part worth keeping. That day has not come. The rehearsal for it did. If you want the full picture of how these AI systems actually work, from tokens to agents, the complete free course is linked below, along with our whole AI security playlist. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.